Writing the findings chapter, From Seeing to Understanding. Data becomes knowledge only when we move beyond simply seeing patterns to truly understanding what they reveal. This chapter helps you transform raw evidence into a coherent, meaningful presentation of your findings, bridging the gap between observation and interpretation. By structuring your chapter with clarity, transparency, and scholarly rigor, you will allow your readers to see your research world as you have discovered it and begin to understand its significance. 1. Purpose of the Findings chapter. The Findings chapter is where you present the results of your research without drifting into deep interpretation that comes in the discussion chapter. Here, you transition the reader from seeing, which is a descriptive representation of your data, to understanding, which involves highlighting patterns, trends, and key messages. It must be objective, let the data speak first. Organized, follow your research questions or themes consistently. Accessible, use visuals, tables, and figures where appropriate. Transparent, clearly explain how findings were derived. 2. Core structure. A. Restating the research aim and questions. Example phrasing. This chapter presents the key findings of the study in relation to the 3 research questions introduced in Chapter 1. The results are organized thematically to reflect both the study's conceptual framework and the participants' perspectives. Which question or theme will you present first and why? B. Presenting the findings. Organize your findings according to research questions, themes or categories for qualitative research, variables or hypotheses for quantitative research. Example phrasing. Findings are presented under 4 thematic categories emerging from the data analysis. 1. Community perceptions of access. 2. Institutional support structures. 3. Perceived barriers. And 4. Strategies for improvement. What sequence best helps the reader build understanding? C. Using evidence to support the findings. For qualitative research, use participants' quotes, field notes, or document excerpts. For quantitative research, use tables, graphs, charts, and statistical summaries. Example phrasing. Participants frequently described their experiences as isolated and unsupported, suggesting a pattern of disengagement from institutional processes. Participant 14. Have you shown enough evidence for each finding to be credible without overwhelming the reader? D. Highlighting patterns and trends. Without interpreting too deeply, signal key patterns the reader should notice. Example phrasing. A consistent pattern emerged across all focus groups. Participants linked their engagement levels directly to perceived respect from academic staff. What repeated ideas, relationships, or shifts stand out in your data? A. Managing contradictory or unexpected findings. Acknowledge results that do not fit the main trends. Example phrasing. While most respondents expressed dissatisfaction, 2 participants highlighted exceptional support from their supervisors, indicating variation in institutional practice. How do you present anomalies without prematurely interpreting them? F. Linking findings back to research questions lightly. Example phrasing. The findings provide evidence that while access to resources exists in policy, practical barriers persist, limiting equitable participation. How will you connect your results lightly here without stepping into the discussion chapter? 3. Prompts for writing the findings chapter. Which research questions guide the order of presentation? How will you distinguish between raw data and summarized findings? What tables, figures, or diagrams will make your findings clearer? How will you ensure each finding is backed by credible evidence? How will you present outliers or exceptions? 4. Checklist. Before finalizing your findings chapter, ensure you have restated research aim questions at the start, organized results logically and consistently, presented clear evidence for each finding, used appropriate visuals, tables, or quotes, highlighted main patterns without heavy interpretation, addressed anomalies or unexpected results, maintained a clear link to research questions, ensured the writing is objective and transparent. Happy writing?